Hello, I'm Adriana, physiotherapist and yoga instructor, and today's video will be a trauma-informed yoga practice focusing on energy. So we'll go through a yoga sequence that will help you add energy to your day, getting you ready for anything the day brings. So get into something comfortable, grab your mat, and we'll get started. I invite you to start this yoga practice in whatever comfortable sitting form feels good for you. I will be sitting like this, but you can choose any form that feels good. And we'll get started today by getting some gentle arm movements going. So I invite you to place your left hand down beside you, and you can bring the right arm overhead, getting a gentle lean through the right side of the body and a gentle stretch. And then on your exhale, you can switch to the other side. Inhale here. Exhale, switch to the other side. Moving back and forth from arm to arm in a way, in a speed that feels good for you. You can go fast or you can go slow. Doesn't matter. We're just getting some arm movements going, getting some blood flow going. You can work through this with your breathing. If putting the arms above your head doesn't feel good, you can always place them out in front of you or a little bit lower. Whatever works for your body today. Moving through a few more times on each side. Maybe one more over this way and one more over the other way. In your own time, making your way back to that comfortable sitting form that you were sitting in. And we'll move through a different arm movement. So I'll be doing some cactus arms here if you'd like to follow along. Bringing the arms up so that they're at 90 degrees at the shoulder, like a cactus. And from here, we're going to do some gentle circles like this. So bringing the arms down by the side, bringing them up in front of you, and then out to the side like cactuses. We'll move through a few more times, perhaps getting a bit of a stretch through the chest here. Just like the other arm movements, you can do this at your own speed. 2 more times through. Once again, getting some blood flow going, getting some movement throughout the body. Excellent. And coming back to that comfortable sitting form in your own time. I'll be moving into downward dog and then going into some form standing. So if there's anything else you'd like to do sitting or any more arm movements you'd like to do, feel free to do those. If not, you can join me in downward dog. So coming onto the hands and knees, placing those fingers nice and wide, going up onto the toes, and then pushing down through those toes, lifting the hips up in the air. Letting the head go between the arms, maybe walking the dog by doing some gentle movements in the knees, bending and straightening them. Taking a moment here once again to get some blood flow moving, get the different areas of the body moving. And if it doesn't feel good for you, you can always come down and do something different. Making your way to standing. Taking your time doing that. If there's any movements you'd like to do on the way up, feel free. And once you're standing, we'll move into warrior 2. So keep the right foot forward. The left leg is going to come back. The right foot is facing the front of your mat. The back foot is facing the length of your mat. You're going to bend that front knee. You can keep the arms down or you can bring them up, whatever works for you. We'll take 2 breaths here. Getting that bend in the front knee, feeling those muscles working. 1 more inhale. One more exhale. We're going to reverse our warrior here. So taking this arm at the back, you're going to place that on the back of your leg. And then the front arm is going to go up above your head, getting a gentle stretch through the front side of the body there. I'll be holding this for one more breath. On the exhale, coming back to warrior two. Now move into triangle, so straightening this front knee. We're going to bring the hips back a little bit. And then you can either bring this front right arm down on the inside of the front leg. You could grab a block. You can place a hand down on the block. Or you can place it all the way down on the floor. So whatever feels good for you. If you don't have a block hand, you can always use books. And then we're going to turn our body so it's facing upward, and that left arm can go above your head if you'd like. We'll hold for 3 breaths here. At any point this twist does not feel good for you, feel free to come out. One more inhale. On the next exhale, lowering that arm, taking that lower arm and bringing it up to the right leg. And then we're going to repeat those same things on the other side. So we're going to turn our body the other way. So now that left foot is facing the front of the mat. The right foot is facing the lengthways of the mat. And we're going to go into the warrior two on this side. We'll bend that front left leg. Once again, you can keep the arms down if you would like, or you could bring them up. We'll hold 2 breaths here. On your next breath, I invite you to reverse the warrior. So taking your back arm, placing it on the back leg, keeping the front knee bent, and bringing the front arm up above your head, getting a stretch through the front side body. Holding for 2 breaths here. Coming out in your own time and moving into triangle on this side. So straightening that front leg, bringing the hips back a little bit. And then once again, lots of options for the front arm. You can put it on a block, on books. You can rest it on the inside of your leg or on the ground. Whatever works for you. You can take that back arm, the right arm, and lift it up if that feels good. Or perhaps you put it on your hip. We'll hold for 3 breaths here. One more inhale if you're still with me. On the exhale, lowering the back arm if it's up, taking that front arm and resting it on the front leg. And then you can pivot your whole body to the front of the mat. So both feet are now facing forward. You can leave the legs out in a straddle. You can bend the knees a little bit if that feels better for the legs. And then from here, we're going to do a standing forward straddle fold. So you can gently bring your chest down towards the ground as far as feels good for you. If you would like a block for this one, you can grab one and you can place your hands on a block, or once again, books if you don't have a block. You can place it long ways or you can place it up higher, whatever feels good for your body. Another option would be to bring the hands right down to the ground if that feels better for you. Or perhaps linking the elbows with your arms so that your body comes all the way down. So many different variations can be done. We'll spend 3 breaths here. On your next breath, I invite you to come up to standing at the top of your mat, and we'll move through a little flow sequence to get down to the ground on our stomach. So if you'd like to just join me from the ground, you can do that. If not, you can follow along through the flow sequence. From here, I invite you to bring your hands down your legs so that you're bending one vertebrae at a time. You can gently halfway lift so that your palms are on your lower legs and gaze forward. As you exhale, you can place your hands down on the mat and bring both legs behind you so you're in that plank. Or you can put your knees down. Inhale, lower down to the ground. And from the ground here, if you would like, you can take some time and rest, or you can join me in Cobra. If you're joining me, you can place your hands next to your chest, and then gently push up through those hands, lifting up as high as feels comfortable, getting a little bit of a bend through the back. Hold for one inhale, one exhale, and lower down. Giving yourself a moment to rest, and we'll repeat that one more time. Now the second time, if you would like, you can go up even higher if that feels good for you. So doing the same thing, gazing forward, pushing down through the hands, lifting the chest up. If it feels good, you can straighten those arms a little bit more, bringing the chest up a little bit higher. Of course, if you would rather keep the arms bent, that is a-okay. One inhale, one exhale, and we'll lower back down. Now we're going to move through camel form and then go on our back and perform a bridge before we end today's practice. So if those feel good for you, I invite you to join me now on your knees. We'll work through camel. So coming onto your knees, one variation of camel would be to place your hands on your low back, either by wrapping your thumb around your side body and your fingers go on your back, or if that doesn't feel good for your shoulders, you can switch the hands so that the backs of the palms are against your back, whichever one works for you. From here, you can gently lift the chest up and gently lift the neck back. So that's one variation. The second variation is very similar, but you're just leaning back further, as far as feels comfortable. And then with the third variation, you take those hands and you place them on your feet or on your ankles, lifting up. So you can choose which version works for you today. We'll stay here for 2 breaths. If you're on the variation where your hands are down at your feet, I invite you to bring them to your low back before you come up. On your next exhale, I invite you to come up. If there's any counter movements you would like to do before coming to bridge on our back, feel free to do them. Maybe a child's pose or some cat-cows, anything that feels good for you. If you don't want to do those, you can join me on your back. We'll move into bridge from here. So with bridge, you can place your hands down on the ground, gently push down through the hands and the feet, and lift the tailbone and the glutes up in the air. I'll be holding for 3 breaths here, pushing down through my feet. Maybe feeling my leg muscles working. 2 more breaths. 1 more breath. Lowering down slowly, 1 vertebrae at a time. Maybe rocking the knees back and forth gently before I move into my final bridge. Getting some different movements through the legs and the back as I take a break in between bridges. If you would like to join me for one more bridge, we'll do so now. So once again, placing the hands down, pushing down through the feet, pushing up with the tailbone and the glutes, holding for 3 breaths. Two more breaths. One more breath. Lowering down one vertebrae at a time. Once again, if you'd like to bring the knees back and forth, feel free to do that. There's another variation of movement that feels good. Maybe bringing the knees up to the chest and gently rocking side to side. You can choose whatever final movement you would like before we end in our final resting form. Whenever you're ready, coming into however you would like to end today's practice. That can look like anything. If you would like to sit, like to go to your bed, if you'd like to lie on a couch, or you can stay on the mat, whatever works for you. Perhaps checking into the body and seeing what the energy levels are like. Maybe noticing if you feel more energized than you did at the start of today's practice. I invite you to take a few gentle breaths here, focusing on the breathing and the breath coming in and out of the nose or the mouth. Maybe bringing some gentle movement into your body, some wiggling of the feet or the hands, bringing that energy back into the body. Maybe shaking the legs a little bit, maybe shaking the arms a little bit or the shoulders. Taking a nice deep inhale and a big exhale. I invite you to come up when you're ready. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. I will see you next time.